I mentioned Christian Russell. I don't like to highlight Christian because I'm afraid somebody's going to want to snatch him up because he's the best video producer in the country, bar none. This has got Christian. Are you old enough to remember the TV series MASH?
Yeah, my mom actually would always say I remind her of Hawkeye Pierce.
Well, you remind me of Radar O'Reilly because Radar O'Reilly always was there for his boss and would always fill in the blanks. And before if I think Kamala Harris, before I get the words Kamala Harris out, you're playing Kamala Harris B-roll. I don't know how you do it. I think there might be some dark magic involved. You might be a wizard because there's not. How do you? Or maybe you're a mind reader.
Well, Mike, like millions of Americans, I hang on to your every word, and while I'm working, I'm just anticipating the next thing that you're going to say, and then I roll with it.
Okay, now you're being sarcastic, but that's okay. That's okay. Hey, Christian, you and I have been talking a lot about this whole Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens thing, and you've got a really good interpretation. How old are you? Remind the audience how old you are.
Actually, I'm going to be over the hill next month. I'll be 30. I turn 30 on Pearl Harbor Day.
All right, so you're get ready for Medicare. It's knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Christian is a 29-year-old New Yorker. You tell me about your take on the whole Nick Fuentes phenomenon, because you're the one that I kind of lean into and I rely on to help me understand what Gen Zers are thinking and feeling and saying. And look, you're the one that's pointed out to me this guy's a lot more popular than us boomers want to let on.
Yeah, well, so I think I'll first start with the idea of censoring someone like Nick Fuentes. One, so his whole platform and popularity grew out of him being deplatformed and censored. So
right.
He's the first person to not be verified on X to have 1 million followers. That happened, a vast majority of that, while he was deplatformed and censored. His Rumble, he's the second most streamed person on Rumble behind Alex Jones. Both of those people, deplatformed, censored, taken offline.
Right.
Kind of had all that accomplishment without any kind of perpetuating by mainstream media, quote unquote, whatever that means. But all that to say that this popularity existed before any sort of highlighting by like Tucker Carlson or anybody like that. And now it's just Streisand effect. Now the more that we're highlighting it, it's perpetuating a cycle of popularity. But the reason that Nick Fuentes and people like him are popular in the first place is because they're taboo provocateurs. It's edgy and it's cool. It's like punk rock, you know? It's underground and it's something that is created with the mythos of it. The more that's fed into it, then the more it's paid off. And it's like ironic and cool and edgy to be into it because it makes people PO'd. You know, people want the reaction. We live in a reactionary society now. So the more of a reaction you could get out of like Randy Fine or Ted Cruz, the more dividends you're paying to the power of a Nick Fuentes. So it's kind of like an ironic shakedown by like internet trolls, you know, continuously making someone like Nick Fuentes more powerful. Somebody like Tucker Carlson's platforming of him isn't necessarily making him more palpable. It's honestly just proving the point that internet trolls can get under anyone's skin, and that's the power that they really have, the cultural currency of making people PO'd.
You know, I'm thinking about your description of Nick and Candace and even Tucker, I guess, to a degree, as provocateurs, and that edginess, that tabooness, that's what makes them popular. But in a way, to kind of bring this thing full circle, it's kind of Trumpian when you think about it. Trump, right? I mean, Trump came along and was edgy and said taboo things and talked about the media in a way nobody ever had. And they tried and they did their best to deplatform him. Yeah,
and that's like as a young guy who like leans right on some issues, you know, like one thing I really liked about kind of like the conservative Republican Party was the idea of not squandering people based off their ideas and their speech.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not a perfect case example of anything, but I do think I speak for a lot of people my age where it's like that's one thing, especially during COVID, where the Republican Party did well was to not censor and stifle speech and people. And these kinds of things done by like the kind of party apparatus is sort of a signal against the exact thing that is appealing for people like me.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. No.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I mean, so what do we, and you agree with me, I take it, the way to handle this is to engage, not to try to continue to deplatform and silence people and stifle them.
Oh, yeah, totally. Because the more you try to just cover it up, the more anyone's interested in watching it. Like me, I never really cared about Nick Fuentes, but he'd pop up, and he's an engaging guy. You could watch his clips and understand what people find funny about him or whatever. But then when he gets, it becomes oversaturated when it goes, I don't know, on the mainstream, I guess. It becomes less interesting, and I don't care. No one really cares except for the people that are really into it.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Christian. Of course, I will point out, I will chastise you during that segment. I did not see a lower third that said Christian Russell, video producer, Mike Gallagher show. And now, you could have been typing that while you're talking. You can do two things at once.
There you go.
No comment? There it is. Oh, there it is. No, go back. I like to see that. Yeah, that's good. Christian Russell. So see, he did it. He had it up there. Christian Russell, video producer, Mike Gallagher show. And thank you. He really does do a tremendous job and gives me a lot of insight on, what people who might be in the Nick Fuentes camp are saying, what they're thinking. It's a bad idea to go around and start bragging about deplatforming anybody. And I'm really anxious to find out where you are on this. I had a chat with my buddy Mark Davis this morning in Dallas. Mark made the mistake I think it's a mistake, of criticizing the platforming of Nick Fuentes. When I hear that, when I hear people use that word deplatform, I think of Mike Lindell. I think of General Michael Flynn. I think of Alex Jones. I think of people who have been completely shattered by a force that doesn't think they get to speak. And it worries me deeply. I am deeply, deeply concerned about the movement to tell people to basically shut up and go away. I hate that. Whether you like it or not, and I've got somebody on my team, Christian Russell, who and he's a young guy. He's got a really good perspective on what Gen Z is thinking and feeling. And Christian, when I was in Israel last week, Christian sort of casually said to me, Mike, Nick Fuentes has a lot of fans among young people. There are a lot of people who don't believe we should continue to support Israel. And there are a lot of people who think that if you are hesitant in our continual aid and support for Israel, then you're an anti-Semite. And that's a little bit ridiculous. It's a little bit crazy. Why in the world does somebody not have a right to believe that we give too much aid to Israel? I mean, it's in the billions of dollars. We're in the middle of a government shutdown that the Democrats refuse to ignore or fix. The Democrats, I think, Ted Cruz has the best theory about why there's a government shutdown. They want to use it to propel people to vote for Democrats tomorrow. Once the election is over tomorrow, then they're going to capitulate and they're going to give in, and the government will reopen. They'll vote on a clean continuing resolution, and it will all be political posturing. That's all the Democrats are about. That's why they're doing what they're doing. I think Ted Cruz is right. So the argument against billions of dollars of aid to Israel is, we got problems here in America. We don't need to worry about these other wars. And young people who have, admittedly, a bit naive, if not simplistic, worldview on things like this, well, that's how they feel. And they see a guy like Nick Fuentes, and they say, he makes a lot of sense to me. Now, it's up to us to educate and inform and enlighten young people about what anti-Semitism is, where it comes from. If you are denying the Holocaust occurred, if you think that the Jews control the world, and if you think Jews are controlling, there's checks coming from Qatar and all this crap, the whole Tucker, Candace, Nick Fuentes thing, look, we've just got to engage. Nothing wrong with having the conversation, but when I hear somebody like, again, I'm going to quote my friend Mark Davis, Tucker Carlson shouldn't have put Nick Fuentes on his platform if he wasn't going to challenge him. And that's the criticism that Tucker's getting. He didn't push back hard enough. All right, well, that's one criticism, but Mark used the term deplatform. Mark used the expression, people like Nick Fuentes should not be platformed. And I adamantly disagree with that stick your head in the sand mindset. You better talk to these people. You better engage with them. We have to have the conversation. Having a debate is fine. Spare me the deplatform crap. Have we learned nothing? What do you want? Should we debank Nick Fuentes too? Put him on the no-fly list again? Keep him from being able to get on an airplane because of his views? No matter how noxious you think his views are, he's an American who, frankly, is a heck of a lot smarter and more effective at building a platform than a whole lot of podcasters sitting in their mom's basement trying to build an audience. I admit I know what I don't know about the guy. But what I understand is he is becoming increasingly popular among young conservatives. And to ignore him, we do it at our own peril. What's wrong with my way of looking at this? What's wrong with my outlook? 800-655-MIKE, 15 past the hour. We're so glad you're here. We got a lot of breaking news today. We got the election tomorrow. We got to talk about Trump's spectacular appearance on 60 Minutes last night. And yeah, he was good. He was real good. But in the meantime, I want to get your take on what Axios describes as MAGA's war within. For now, MAGA is being held together by Trump's personality, but open disagreement has broken out over who should and shouldn't be accepted under its tent. That's the rub to me. That's the issue, is a debate about who is allowed to speak.